Alrighty, folks, it is happening. Once again, something I told you was coming is coming true. What am I talking about? Well, this is the revival of San Francisco. Actually, the most popular video on my channel, if you ranked by views, was called The Death of San Francisco. This was back in late 2020 when the mayor, Breen, or whatever the heck her name was totally destroying the city. I told you in that yeah, I told you in that video that someday somebody was going to make $1 billion in San Francisco by buying at the bottom. Well, guess what? San Francisco is back. You can thank AI and the AI boom for that. We actually have some numbers and some stats with the one and only Dana Dunford. But before we get into San Francisco, she was nice enough to have the team answer a question we had from last week. Remember last week, folks, we talked about a 50% rise in delinquencies. And one of the questions I posed was, is it the same for single family homes and multi? So we're going to answer that question first, and then we're going to dive into the reality of San Francisco. Dana, thank you very much. And please thank the team for getting us this data.
Yeah. So the real question here is on delinquencies, right? You own a rental property, you just want your cash flow and you want it on the first of the month. So when do you start seeing, so delinquencies we define as they haven't paid, right, by the first of the month. What's interesting in looking at the numbers is multifamily delinquency is 46% higher than single family nationwide. So it's 11.2% versus 7.67%. And I think part of the reason for that is honestly, people want more space, right? They do want more space nowadays. And so that whole concept of buying one rental at a time and having single family in your portfolio, people stay there for longer. Once you have a great tenant, you want to keep them in there. Multifamily turns over faster. And then with it, I think single family, I mean, there's certain markets where it's lower, but from a rental rate perspective and qualification, you just need to be making a lot more. So that's a quick update on multifamily versus single family.
Yeah, and that's, good news is I know what I'm talking about. That is what I suspected and said last week, that I assumed that multifamily would be higher. It's about the right ratio. Because the other thing, besides what you said, I think the other thing that's important is once a tenant gets into single families, they don't want to trade down, right? They don't want to go back to an apartment. So that's why, again, historically, I've seen 8+ years as an average time for a house and 2+ years for an apartment. So that makes complete sense. Well, let's switch gears to San Francisco. You've uncovered some pretty interesting stats. You have some on-the-ground experience in San Francisco. What the heck is going on? Let's start with days on market. You got some very interesting stats for vacancies and days to fill. Why don't we start there, then we'll go deeper.
Yeah, so San Francisco is home to Hemmeline, home to me. It's where I live. Very similar to what you said, Michael. I was very I think distraught of San Francisco declining over the years and what was happening to it, and it was really AI that just definitely has brought
resurrected
it back. Data boom, everything that I was personally hoping for in San Francisco. I know, Michael, you have left San Francisco, or left the Bay Area for most of the year, and so for you, it probably doesn't impact you as much, but this was really interesting. So I looked at days on market. So this is the average time from when a rental property is listed to the application received and approved. And average days on market in 2024 was 22.3 days. So it's the average amount of time on market. San Francisco was still coming back by then. I think it was turning around. I can't remember when Lori came in, but it was coming back. People from Miami and who had moved due to COVID were
he came in November of 24, so at the very end.
Okay. Yeah. So then 22.3 days. 2025 was 14 days on market. And so the city is starting to revive 22 to 14, which, by the way, average across the nation is 30 days on market. It's like anywhere between 29 to 32 days that we see a property on market. This is median because you have these outliers that stay on market forever. So it's not average, it's median. Guess what it is for 2026? So we pulled 2026 up until I think it was this Monday that the team ran. Guess what the average days on market are for 2026?
So let's just use the ratio. So we went from 22 to 14. That's about a 40% drop. So if we do another 40% drop, I don't know, nine days ish, 9.2.
Yeah, so it's 8.7 days.
Oh.
So you're right on, but you're close there. But can you believe that it's basically a week. You list your property and
that is crazy.
Right away.
That's crazy.
Absolutely crazy fast. And it was interesting because it really was brought home to me. I was interviewing a candidate for a position we had here in San Francisco, and he had moved here from LA. And he had said, I had asked him about, the experience with the move, the rental. Of course, I'm like, what does the property manager landlord use for property management software? My first question. But he said that when he went into one of the tours, there was an agent there showing the property. And someone showed up with flowers and wine and said, like, this is our top choice. We put in an application and this is for you, for the agent. And
so
that is
not for the landlord, for the agent.
The agent, it was an agent, he said, like a realtor, which is who's already getting paid 1 month's rent. So they're already getting paid a lot of money for San Francisco rates. And it was an agent, a realtor, he said, and they brought that in to get accepted.
This reminds me of 2021 crazy housing market where people were writing letters and I'll name my firstborn after you.
Totally. It's the same thing. And so it'll be interesting because I think, with IPOs and then the money that's made and created, but there's lockups and all of that. It's going to be a very, very interesting and also exciting time, I think, for Silicon Valley. I'm sitting here with my popcorn.
No, it's going to be wild. I mean, again, just think about SpaceX, right? They've already gone public, right? Their first set of lockups are 3 months away or whatever it is. Like if you're a high-end real estate agent in, Orange County or whatever it is, get ready. There is about to be money sloshing around in that environment. Wow.
Yeah, totally.
And then you got Anthropic news this morning. Looks like they're racing to an IPO this morning. So you're absolutely right. I think you absolutely said it correctly. Get your popcorn ready because it's going to get exciting. You also told me an example about a 3-bedroom that was initially listed for $6,000. The tenant had to pay just a wee bit more than that to get it. What was the story of that?
Yeah, so this is crazy. This is one in Golden Gate Heights. So if you know where that is in San Francisco, it's kind of in the middle of San Francisco, close to the Panhandle. You can easily get downtown to the financial district or Hayes Valley, which
it's a decent area. Yeah,
it's a decent area. And it's a lot of single family homes. So the landlord had received over 20 applications. This is the first weekend showing. The tenant who I spoke to, because I wanted to learn more about what was going on and have an example, they said they saw at least 50 tenants tour this property, like 50 tenants in there. They said it was mayhem. What's crazy about it, so it was listed for $6,000, but in 2020, so we're talking about COVID, the time when everyone was moving out of San Francisco and San Francisco hit rock bottom, was rented for $2,800. So it went from $2,800 to $6,000 for listing price. This is the tenant who actually got accepted to the property, who I was talking to. And they said it was listed obviously for $6,000. So I said, how did you get it? If there were 50 tenants, I mean, I can see it in the system too. But what was your strategy? They said we paid $1,500 over asking. So they paid $7,500 for the property, and there's no rent control on it either.
$2,800 in 2020, now $7,500.
Yeah.
Well, no, 75, right?
75, because that's what the willingness to pay for. And I'm sure for the landlord, they thought 6,000 was pretty high if they were
I'm sure it was a stretch
before. And now, isn't that crazy? So it shows in San Francisco with these tech companies, and I think there's the startups in the tech
limited
space,
supply.
Limited supply.
The other thing I think is interesting, obviously, we'll switch gears. I did not prep you for this, so I'll let you react on the fly.
Okay.
New York City Mayor Mamdani instituted rent freeze in New York City. Roughly about 1 million apartments were affected by this. But oh, by the way, there's a whole collection of apartments that are not under rent control and thus do not have a rent freeze. So guess what happened in both Brooklyn and Manhattan in the last week or so? Do you have any idea what I'm talking about?
Yeah. So, well, I'm sure that, so those that don't have rent control, so those with rent control, obviously you're going to list the price significantly higher because you're worried about, hey, this tenant might live here for 10 years and I don't know what's going to happen, but I know that New York is stable enough that people will always want to rent. And then those that don't have rent control, they can just go with the fair market. And I've been honestly someone who's so opposed to rent control because I think that it just increases prices overall. So those that are under rent control, the price just increases and it actually doesn't help the people that, Mondani is trying to help. It actually hurts them because they're having to increase the rents. So that's my best guess for you.
You are very, very good at this game. Brooklyn median non-rent controlled apartment is now $4,350. That is up 8.1% year on year.
Okay.
Not to be outdone by Manhattan, $5,295. Again, median rent up 12%. So again, yeah, rent control doesn't work. It helps a few people, but it hurts a lot more.
Yeah, and it also, I've spoken to a lot of landlords, obviously in San Francisco. It's our home for Hemlane. And those who are on Hemlane, and some of them are developers, so they're kind of thinking of what their next game is. Mm-hmm. And for them, they say, I'm not going to go into apartments. I'm not building apartments. I'm building HOA, like condos for sale versus rentals because I can't make it work. Regulations are too high. And the right answer, if you're thinking about how to reduce the affordability, reduce the gap, income inequality, and then have affordable housing is two things. One, it's build more housing. And two, it's incentivize. Actually, I should give three reasons. Two, it's incentivize more people to build rental housing. And then the third one is transportation. And transportation, time and time again, has shown like, hey, you don't necessarily need to live in the epicenter, but if you can have it very easy that someone who is a waitress downtown in Manhattan can get to and from home because they've got kids at home, they also have their own childcare, everything else. If they can get to and from downtown and live in a more affordable place, everyone is better off. But it's so crazy that these politicians focus on all of the wrong things. And they're not focused on those questions of how do we make it easier to get to and from downtown and build more affordable housing. And instead, they incentivize everyone to not build housing because they make it where you need a law degree yourself in order to own a rental property, which, as you know, it helps our business because we're there to help, but it hurts everyone else. And so I've been a huge proponent of not having as much regulation, not having as many restrictions, and just be able to build in a very thoughtful way and then think about transportation as well.
Dana, you are amazing. Thank you for coming back each and every week. The community at One Rental at a Time appreciate you. If somebody wanted to check out Hemlane, where should they go?
Yeah, if you want to see your days on market, go to www.hemlane.com, mention One Rental at a Time. You do get our largest discount at 20% off that first year. And then if you guys have any questions, just reach out to our team because we'd love to help.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And don't forget to check out their resources tab, hemlane.com/resources. You'd be shocked at how much value is there. Take care.
Yeah.